AITA for refusing to move after my new roommate told me she's allergic to dogs. I, 21F, live in an on-campus apartment with 3 roommates. I'm legally blind and have a guide dog. Housing has known about my guide dog for years, and this will be my 3rd year living in these apartments with her. Earlier this summer, Housing moved me from one apartment building to another because my old building was being renovated. I didn't ask to move, and I was actually out of state at guide dog training when it happened. So my friends had to pack and move everything I owned. I've now been living in the new apartment for about 2 months. Everything is unpacked, including my mini fridge, my guide dog's crate, and all of her supplies. I've also already learned the new route to campus from this building. One of my roommates moved in a few days ago. I had planned to go back and clean before she arrived, but I got a high fever and couldn't make it back. I emailed her, apologized, explained I was sick, and asked her to leave my belongings where they were until I could return. She replied, saying she's severely allergic to dogs. I completely understand that allergies are serious, and I don't blame her for bringing it up. She suggested that I switch apartments with one of her friends in another building. The problem is, I'd already been moved once this summer. Everything was unpacked, and I have a lot to move, including a mini fridge, my guide dog's crate, and all of her supplies. Since I'm visually impaired, I'd also have to learn a completely new route to campus again. I also don't have the people available to help me move a second time. I told her I honestly didn't think Housing would move me again since they'd already relocated me once, but that I'd ask. She then emailed Housing saying that she, her friend, and I had all voluntarily agreed to switch room assignments. The problem is that I never agreed to move. I only said I didn't think Housing would approve another move for me. I contacted both my area coordinator and Housing to explain that I had not agreed to move and wasn't. Housing later told me that I do not have to move and that, because my guide dog accommodation was already on file, it would be up to my roommate to request a room reassignment if she wanted one. I'm currently waiting for Housing to let me know when everything is resolved before I return to my apartment. I feel bad because I know severe allergies are a legitimate issue, and I don't think my roommate is wrong for needing accommodations. At the same time, I don't think it's fair that I was expected to move a second time after already being relocated, unpacking everything, and getting settled. So, AITA for refusing to move. I was told to add this to the post from one of the comments, and it might make things a little bit clearer. Just so you guys know, we do have a question on our housing application that allows better matches, and it asks if you would be willing and or comfortable to live with a surface animal. It is Housing's job to read those applications, so something like this doesn't happen. Next story. AITA for taking my friend's no at face value instead of insisting. I, 25M, have a close friend to 4F who's been dealing with a lot of stress lately. Nothing life-threatening, but enough that she's been skipping meals, isolating herself, and generally not taking care of herself. One evening, we were hanging out, and I noticed she hadn't eaten all day. I offered to order food for her. She said, "I'm not hungry." I asked again a few minutes later because I knew she hadn't eaten. Same answer. So I dropped it. Later that night, she texted me saying she was upset. She said, I should have known she didn't actually mean no and that a real friend would have insisted. Ordered the food anyway, or at least kept trying because she was clearly struggling. I told her I cared about her, but I also believe adults should be able to say what they mean. If someone tells me no twice, I'm going to respect that answer. I don't think it's my place to override someone's decision just because I think I know better. She argued that when people are emotionally overwhelmed, they sometimes need someone to push through their resistance. I said that expecting people to read your mind isn't fair. If you want help, tell me. I'll gladly help, but I can't guess which no actually means yes. Now, a few mutual friends think I was too detached, and that I should have recognized she needed support even if she wasn't asking for it. AITA, for respecting what she said instead of insisting. Next story. AITA for declining both of our parents. Anniversary trips, because we don't think milestone anniversaries should require $15,000 vacations. My husband and I have been together almost 20 years. One thing that's always been true is that both of our families seem to compete with each other over who is the better grandparent, who gives more gifts, who spends more money, and who gets more time with us. It's been exhausting enough that we've intentionally limited contact with both sides. Recently, both sets of parents have had age-related health issues. Since then, every holiday or family event seems to come with comments like, "This could be our last Christmas," "our last vacation," or our last chance to make memories. I understand where that's coming from, but it also feels like every invitation now comes with guilt attached. The current issue started with my husband's parents' 50th wedding anniversary. The family decided to celebrate with a week-long cruise. For my husband, me, and our child, it would cost around $15,000. Everyone else immediately put down deposits. We quietly declined. It wasn't because we don't love them or don't want to celebrate, we just can't justify spending that much on one vacation. We suggested alternatives like a large anniversary party or family reunion that would let everyone celebrate together without such a huge financial commitment, but those ideas weren't well received. A short time later, my parents announced that for their 45th anniversary, they wanted everyone to go on an international all-inclusive vacation. This wasn't something they'd mentioned before, and the timing made it feel like they heard about my in-laws' trip and didn't want to be outdone. Their trip would cost less than the cruise, but it's still a significant expense. We declined that one too for the exact same reason. We don't think it makes sense to spend that kind of money on back-to-back family vacations, regardless of which side is asking. Now, both families think we're selfish, don't value family, and will regret not making these memories if someone dies. We do understand our parents are getting older, and we genuinely sympathize with that. But it feels like we're being pressured to spend tens of thousands of dollars because of guilt and fear rather than because it's something we'd actually choose to do. We aren't refusing to celebrate. We just don't think milestone anniversaries should come with the expectation that everyone else pays for luxury vacations when there are plenty of meaningful, less expensive ways to celebrate. AITA for declining both anniversary trips and suggesting that milestone anniversaries could be celebrated in less expensive ways instead of expecting everyone to pay for luxury vacations. Now it's your turn to decide. Was the original poster in the wrong? Vote AITAH, ESH, or NAH, and tell us why in the comments.